You so much welcome on the show now. Tonight I will start with one of the doctors, Dr. Alan Greenberg. He said that as a retired physician, he recommended that the only way you can age well and have a ripe old age is by avoiding going into the hospital. And he says, unless you've gotten into an accident, then go ahead and go to the hospital. But if you've not gotten an accident, then you need to stay away from the hospital. And he's recommending that we should frequent proper nutrition, proper feeding, and use of a bit of herbal medicine such that we can avoid these other drugs that are very toxic. He says that drugs are meant to deal with our symptoms, but actually not cure disease. So that means if you're eating well, you stand high chances of avoiding any other diseases. And like he said, unless it is an accident. So this is the Nutrition Spot. My name is Gift Nakayinga, and today we're looking at nutrition. We said that let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. So we're discouraging you using drugs on this particular show, but in other shows like Medical Minds, Health and Wellness, you can also learn how you can use drugs so well. But here we want to help you stay away from using or taking drugs or medicines. But the only medicine you can take is your food, and that food has to be the right food. So tonight in the studio, I'm having an expert, a nutritionist called Eddie Zziwa. I welcome you so much, Eddie, on the show. I think we have a lot to discuss tonight, so just welcome for me, the viewers.
Thank you very much, Gift. Once again, I'm delighted to be here. It's always a pleasure sharing information about nutrition and helping to guide our people on the right way to feed so that they can be healthy.
Thank you so much. And well, I would say that the food you do eat can be either the safest or the most powerful form of medicine in your body. So it can be the safest form of medicine, or it can be the slowest form of poison. So either you're eating it to do good or you're eating it to do bad. And sometimes the bad doesn't manifest there and then. It will take some time. So we want to see how can we feed well. So tonight on the show, we're going to discuss what we've called the plant-based diet or the vegan diet. With our expert in the studio, we want to understand, what does it mean? Should we start looking around for plants, and you know who's eligible for the plant-based kind of diet, and when should I switch to that particular diet? Does it have any health risks? Is it for everyone? Is it for a particular category of people? We're going to understand all those things, and why is it healthy for us? Why is it very important to our health? So I'll start by asking my expert what it is if we say a plant-based diet.
Yes, thank you once again. So a plant-based diet is a diet that focuses mainly on foods which come from plants. Yeah. So it's a diet whereby on your plate, most of the food is plant and a little animal foods, but the major focus is having plants, more plants on your plate. Yeah, that is a plant-based diet. Yeah.
I think we should go back. I want us to go back to you know, we have what we call a balanced diet. Yeah. So, and now we are saying a plant-based diet. So you've told us what a plant-based diet is, but maybe there is someone that is watching the show for the very first time, and maybe they are still contemplating what a diet is. What is a diet?
So a diet is a combination of meals. Yeah, it's a combination of meals. It can be your breakfast, your lunch, your supper. So when we say that you're having a balanced diet, we mean that when you take those combination of meals, they provide you all the nutrients you need for your optimum health. That is what a balanced diet is. It's not just one plate, but the combination of meals you take in the long run. They should be able to provide for you all the nutrients you need. That is a balanced diet.
So it doesn't matter whether I've taken it once in a day or thrice or 3 times in a day.
So it's you may not eat all the nutrients in one plate, but if you are able to eat, if your meals added together, for example, maybe in 2 days, can can give you all the nutrients you need. We call that a balanced diet.
Then a diet?
A diet is a combination of meals.
Is a combination of meals.
Yeah.
Then plant-based diet?
So a plant-based diet is one whereby most of the foods you're taking in are plant foods.
Plant foods. Then
Yeah.
animal-based diet?
Now, animal-based diet, there are animal-based diets like the carnivorous diet, where people take in more. There are some people who take in only meats. Yeah, that's a carnivorous diet. That's an animal-based diet.
So there are different kinds.
Yeah, there are so many types of diets. Some are very bad, some are very good. Yeah.
Okay, we shall come back and talk about them. Now, what about a vegan diet?
Now, a vegan diet is one whereby you eliminate all animal products.
So if someone is taking a plant-based diet, they have not eliminated completely.
Yeah.
So if
True.
someone is on a vegan,
if they're on a vegan diet, they have eliminated completely. They don't take anything from animals. They don't take milk, they don't take eggs, they don't take fish, they don't take poultry. It can even reach an extent where they don't take honey, because honey comes from bees and they consider those animals.
What?
In
Really?
some context. Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do they survive?
So, so it can be tricky, especially for people who do these, for example, the vegetarian diet and the vegan diet, because trying to balance up the meals and make sure that you get all the nutrients, sometimes it can be tricky, because there are some nutrients that are only found in animal foods. Yeah.
Okay. I think we are trying also to try to understand what these kinds of diets are, and someone out there is like, nengo omuntu aba yetadde ku kibonerezo okwejjako ennyama okwejjako ebyennyanja okwejjako n'omubisi. But anyway, we're going to see why is it why could it be a diet that someone would go in for, and why would I go in for it actually in the first place. So if you want to be a part of the show, the number will be running over the screen, or you can note it down. That is 07860 50 and 762. You can send us a message, or you can call when you see that number on your screen. So we are saying that there is no doubting in debating the science. So don't debate the science. Let us just try to understand and how it can be helpful. So we want to see some of the examples of plants that are in the plant-based diet. Would it be every kind of plant that we see, or there are particular or specific plants that we should eat?
Yeah, so a plant-based diet does not, what it encourages is you to focus mainly on plant foods. It can be any plant food. It can be legumes, it can be beans, it can be, as long as it's food, it's a plant food. That is what they focus on. Now, when you look at vegetarian diets, those are diets whereby you're excluding some animal foods, but you could leave some. For example, people may decide to leave out meat, but still take milk.
Okay.
Milk comes from
the products.
From cattle, yeah. They could also decide to take eggs, but they don't take the chicken. So those are vegetarians. Then we have the vegans. The vegans are the ones who exclude.
Let's go back. Now these are three words.
Yeah.
Plant-based, the vegan, and then the vegetarians.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the vegetarians.
So the vegetarians eliminate some animal products, but
remove some.
Yeah, they remove some, but they take some as well.
So someone can choose to be like, I'll only do this kind of meat and don't do this other one?
Yes. Someone may decide that I will not do all meats except fish. Yeah. Or someone may decide that I will not do all meats, but I will do milk. Or another person may decide that I will not do any animal product except the eggs and the fish. So those are all vegetarian diets. Now, looking at the vegan diet is where someone decides to eliminate all
completely
animal products. And people do it for different reasons. Some do it for health, others do it for culture, others do it for religion, others do it because they are compassionate about animal welfare. They don't like to see these animals get slaughtered.
What?
Others...
Because you don't want to see the animals.
Yeah, when you look at...
and then you become a vegan.
Yeah, there are some people who are so compassionate to that extent. There are others, when they look at the way these, for example, the poultry, the way they are put in cages and they can't move. Even when you look at the beef, these big farms whereby these cattle are in just small, they're kept in small cages and they can't move so that they can fatten. So when some vegans look at that, they feel like it's not fair to the animals, and so they take that as a reason to adopt a vegan diet. Others have environmental reasons. They feel that these animals emit so much greenhouse gases, and one way of protecting the environment is consuming more plants than actually having these animals. So people do these diets for different reasons. Yeah, but what is generally recommended by the World Health Organization is a plant-based diet.
So they do not recommend the other diets?
The other diets...
I feel like the reasons are not valid.
In the other diets, like the vegan diet and the vegetarian diet, those are diets whereby if you're going to do it, it has to be, in order for it to be a good diet for you, you have to plan it well. Because like I said, there are some nutrients that can only be found in animal foods. And looking at the context, looking at, for example, the communities we stay in, there are not so many people that are going to be able to afford things like supplements, like fortified foods, in case they are following a strict vegan diet. Yeah.
So, okay, I feel like there are risks that are associated with these kinds of diets, irrespective of which one has chosen.
True.
But let's start with the potential health benefits that come along with these different diets.
Okay, yeah. So now the plant-based diet, I'll start with that one. One of the benefits is that usually these diets are low in saturated fat. Now saturated fat is, let us call it the bad fat. They're also low in trans fats. They're also low in cholesterol. Cholesterol is something we find in eggs, we find in meat. So usually these plant-based diets are low in those components. And as such, it helps people to prevent diseases like cardiovascular diseases, heart disease, obesity, hypertension, these non-communicable diseases. So it's been shown that people who are regularly taking in a plant-based diet are less likely to get these diseases. Okay. But that is if you're doing the plant-based diet well.
Okay.
Because
if you say well,
yeah.
What is the well?
So by the well, I mean, you know, there are some people who think that if I'm just eating plants, I'm eating healthy, but that's not just it. For example, you can look at margarine. Margarine is completely plant-based in most cases, but it's not a very good thing because it has trans fat. So it also depends what are you eating. Someone may say that I'm only eating plants, but they're eating fried potatoes, fried chips on a daily basis. So much as they're doing a plant-based diet, they're taking in the wrong foods. They're taking in the foods that are not prepared well. Yeah. So going beyond the plant-based diet, it's also important to look at how have you prepared the foods, which foods are you taking in? Are you taking in a variety? Yeah. So the benefits, one of the benefits I just said is prevention of these NCDs, these non-communicable diseases. Then the other benefit is weight management. Usually people who are taking in more of the plants are less likely to grow fat or obese. And this is because these plants have lots of fiber, unlike animal foods. They have antioxidants, and this fiber majorly helps them to have good digestion. Usually their digestion is good, they're not having indigestion. It also helps with so many things in the body. And as such, these people are less likely to grow fat compared to someone who's eating in more meats and meats and meats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, someone is checking themselves. I feel like there are people who are like, I'm so much in love with meat, like they love meat, and if you wake up one day and you tell them you should forego the meat, then that is trouble. So if that is for the plant-based, and for the plant-based, you said we can have both. We can do the plants, and at the same time, someone can choose to do some meat somehow, somewhere.
True. You can do a plate whereby you have most of the plants, but you can have some meat, but the meat is not the big part of your plate. Okay.
So if you say that they help in fighting or preventing the non-communicable diseases like the cardiovascular diseases, the cancers and all that, if someone is already diagnosed with any non-communicable disease, if they're initiated onto that particular diet, is it something that can improve the quality of life?
True. It's very beneficial, especially when, for example, people who are getting hypertension, if you resort to a plant-based diet, and also consider other factors like taking in less salt, taking in less sugars, it can be very beneficial for you to reverse this condition and even recover faster.
That's a good one. That's why I started saying that Dr. Alan Greenberg, when he was saying that unless you've gotten an accident, you don't need to go to the hospital. But you can only do that when you're having proper nutrition. So we're getting more options here. If you focus on having a plant-based kind of diet, it can help you fight those episodes of high blood pressure and also maybe high blood sugars and any other non-communicable diseases. So we want to continue into the vegan diet, and maybe I would also want to ask, according to the explanation of what a vegan is like, wondering, do we have such people in Uganda?
Oh. Yeah, we do have such people.
They're amazing people.
Yeah, they're amazing people, but sometimes people do it, okay, like I said, they do it for several reasons. Yeah, so maybe because of one reason they're doing that diet. Yeah.
In Uganda here?
Yeah, I know a couple of people that are doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
How are they?
Yeah, usually these are people that can afford like fortified cereal, they can afford other foods to complement to get the nutrients they're not getting.
So they can go in for supplements. They can afford them. Because like you said, there are certain nutrients they cannot get from that kind of the diet they are having. So they need to supplement that.
True, there are nutrients that are only available in animal foods. Things like B12, vitamin B12, like iron. Iron in animal foods is more bioavailable to the body compared to the iron in plant foods. Then when you look at the calcium in animals still is more bioavailable to the body. By bioavailable, I mean it's easily absorbed into the body. Yeah, so much as it's also in the plants, but the one in the animals is easily absorbed. Then looking at the omegas, the omega-3s, these are very good in animal foods. The iodine, the zinc in animal foods, it's very, when you take in animal food, that nutrient is easily absorbed into the body compared to someone who's getting it from a plant food. So that's why you find vegans, people who don't take animal foods at all, will need to take like supplements, or they'll need to take fortified foods in order to get those nutrients.
Thank you so much, our nutritionist Zziwa. We're looking at the plant-based or the vegan diets, and maybe you out there, you've been wondering which kind of diet I should choose for myself or for my family. So after that, when we're done with the show, you'll be able to choose which kind of diet you can have for your family or for yourself. I should also remind you that every time you eat or every time you are drinking, you're either feeding yourself with a disease or you're fighting a disease. And we've been told by our expert, the nutritionist Zziwa, that one of the health benefits of feeding on a plant-based diet is that it helps us fight the different non-communicable diseases, especially the cardiovascular diseases. So we're getting into our details of us understanding more on the plant-based kind of diet, vegan, and people that usually say, I'm a vegetarian, I am this and this, I'm this and this. And we used to think ngubaba bepanka or bekoza, but yet people make decisions on how they should live healthy, and we're encouraging, as Bethan TV, we're encouraging you, our viewers, to always make choices on health living. So we're continuing, and I'm hoping there is someone out there that is thinking, how can I transition? Maybe I've just been eating anyhow. You didn't have any idea that actually you can choose to focus on a particular kind of diet, or maybe you chose way back but you didn't have enough knowledge on how you should continue with your kind of diet. You do not know whether you're supposed to supplement or do anything. So I would start by asking you that if someone is out there and they want to transition from whatsoever kind of diet they have been having, we usually have weird diets, so now someone wants to transition to either to a plant kind of based diet, or they want to do vegan, or they want to be the other vegetarians one.
Yeah, so it's very important that for any person to take a pain diet, they do it in gradual steps. It's not good to have a drastic change in just one day. You change from one diet to another diet.
They have to take steps.
They have to take steps, yeah. So,
Okay.
for example, if you've been having meat on a daily basis, you could decide that I'm going to have it 3 times a week, yeah. Maybe if you've been having maybe milk every other day, milk from cows or goats, you could decide that now on certain days I'm going to be having soya milk.
Okay.
Yeah. So those baby steps, those small steps you make will help your body to get adapted, and even you, it will help you to adhere to the diet well.
So you don't just shock your body and you stop the milk,
True.
you stop the meat.
True, you don't just shock your body. And also especially because plants contain lots of fiber. So you have to give your digestive system time to adapt to the new amounts of fiber that you're getting into your body. Yeah, so if you just start, maybe all of a sudden you start taking in very many plants, that's when you'll get problems like bloating and gas. Then you're like, no, me, I can't do plants alone. I can't do beans. There are people who say,
Yeah,
they can't do beans, I can't do this because they make me bloated. But sometimes it's because you've taken in a lot in just a small period of time.
And the body has not been used to it.
True.
Does it establish the fact that people usually say that if you keep eating a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, or okay, maybe I would say a lot of plants and all that, you'll end up having many worms? So you need to keep deworming and deworming. How true is that?
That's true. That's true, especially for salads and foods that haven't been cooked. People taking in raw fruits, sometimes they are not well washed. People who are doing salad so many times, it's a good thing. It has antioxidants, it has fiber, it has very many nutrients. But also it matters how you've prepared it, yeah? So some people may steam a bit and try to make it more palatable, but then the people who just do so many of the fruits and many of the vegetables without cleaning them well, and within a short time they have the worms. It's true, people get worms from eating these fruits, but if you've done it the right way, if you've been hygienic, you're going to reduce the risk of you taking in those worms, and even deworming is highly encouraged. So maybe after some months, you gain deworm. It's a very good thing to do. Sometimes people take years, even decades without deworming, which is a bad thing, yeah.
Maybe someone that is watching us can try to recall when is the last time you you did deworming. Maybe after that show you can go to the hospital. There's so many hospitals. You can go to Bethany, you can go elsewhere and have yourself a good dewormer, and a good one. Don't just get any dewormer. So I mean, if you say that they are supposed to take it as a kind of a gradual process, should we say now, like we usually tell people to always go to the hospitals and consult experts on doing particular things. Can someone just wake up and decide on switching to a particular kind of diet, or they need to first consult an expert?
Yeah, very true. They need to consult an expert before going on to any diet, because it's very important that much as you're doing any diet, you don't miss out on some nutrients. And especially if you're going to do the vegetarian and the vegan diet, whereby you're only taking in plants, it's important that you determine which plants because you have to take a variety. So if someone maybe is getting protein has essential amino acids, and you may find that just taking beans and nuts alone will not give you all the essential amino acids. So you have to take in a variety. Now, with the help of a nutritionist or dietitian, they can help you find out that, yeah, if you combine these foods like this, they'll give you all the essential amino acids you need. Now, this is unlike for animal foods, whereby if you just eat maybe a plate of beef, you have all the essential amino acids in there. So you have to do that planning. Sometimes you may not be able to do it alone. You may need guidance. Yeah.
So talk more about the meal planning such that someone can ensure that the kind of lifestyle they are choosing for themselves, they can be able to handle it. And on a personal basis, and I'm thinking there are people that can choose that particular diet for the entire family.
True.
So which strategies can they use for proper meal planning?
So it's very important to find out, okay, to consider the people in your home. If you've decided to do a plant-based diet, people have different nutrient needs. Yeah, so maybe the young ones need more protein, the ones who are growing need more protein. And yeah, so it's very important to know the different nutrients that these different people need in your home. The old ones may not need the same foods like the young ones. Yes, when you're planning, it's also important that you create...
Why don't they have to do the same foods?
Because these different people, their body systems are different. For example, the ones who are still young, they are growing, their bodies are growing, and the old ones, their bodies are degenerating, their muscles degenerating, so they need the different nutrients for their bodies. And even the ones who are working a lot, maybe the ones who are in their 30s, 20s, they are using a lot of energy, so they will need more carbohydrate compared to someone who is just at home, seated, like the elderly. Yeah. And the other thing, like I said, they have to make sure that they make a variety of foods, especially for the vegan and vegetarian diets. If you're deciding to do only plants, you have to make sure that it's a variety. It's not just maybe 3 plants you're doing. That's going to be very harmful. So you have to make sure that you're able to source out these different plants. Yeah. And especially sometimes you may not be able to do it alone without the help of an expert. Yeah. So before going in for a diet, the vegetarian and the vegan diet, it's very important that you plan it. Now for the plant-based diet, the one where you do mostly plants but add in some other meats and animal products, that can be easier because these few animal products you're bringing in are going to be able to give you the nutrients you need.
And how often is someone supposed to bring in those other products?
Those other products, like I said, you can maybe do, like, let me say the beef you did thrice a week, and even the portion sizes matter. Just because I said thrice a week does not mean that on Wednesday I'm just gonna eat meat from morning to evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe on your plate you'll just add an egg. That stands in for the animal food you want. And even these are the children who are growing, they need calcium. So a cup of milk a day, and the other are plant foods. That's very fine.
So we should say, maybe if we're looking at a plant-based kind of diet, talk about the portion size. Should we also look out for the portion size, or for them it's okay, doesn't matter the quantity?
It does matter. The portion size matters, especially for things like weight management, preventing obesity, because the more food you take in, food has calories. So the more food you take in, it's going to be in your body. And when you take in unnecessary calories, it's going to contribute to your weight. So it's very important that you take in the right portions. And also it's important that you take in the right foods. There are some plant foods that are overly processed. You look at some foods, especially the foods in supermarkets, which have gone through the factories, the ultra processed foods, plant foods. Nowadays, we also have plant meats. They are meats that are made from things like jackfruit. When you taste it, it has a taste similar to meat, but it's not meat. So people who are doing vegan diets, sometimes they go in for those foods, but the problem with it is that those foods are ultra processed.
And so they lose out on the nutrients?
Yeah, they have lost out on the nutrients, but they have also added additives, preservatives, in order to make it seem like the other meat from animals. Yeah. So when you're doing a plant-based diet, it's important that you don't always choose those foods, but you choose more of the whole grains, the foods that are the nuts, the ones that are not going through the factory, the ones which are less processed. Yeah.
Thank you so much to our viewers. This is the Nutrition Spot, and we're looking at different diets. That is the plant-based, the vegan diet. And we also want to encourage you to do some kind of inventory, do some kind of evaluation, and see how you've been feeding. It's been the right way or it's not the right way. And like we started saying that let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. So we're not encouraging you to all the time frequent going to, you can go to the hospital, but you shouldn't be taking a lot of drugs. Yeah. And as the TV, as Betha and TV, we want to believe that prevention is better than cure. That's why we are here to pass on the information, and in time to come, ignorance will never be an excuse. So you better learn and apply whatsoever that you are learning. Go and seek help from a professional, consult. If you've not understood whatsoever we've learned in the studio, you can go ahead and go to the hospital and ask those medics, ask the doctors that I overheard they talked about this kind of diet, they talked about this and that. They'll be able to give you the information. If you have any questions, the number is 0786050762. You can send us a message or you can call and ask your question. Expert is going to be here to respond to your questions. But as we continue, we want to understand there are special kinds of groups and categories that would maybe go in for this particular diet or might not go in. So at this point of time, I want us to look out for the pregnant women. Is it advised for a pregnant woman to go in for a vegan diet, and also for other special categories of people?
Yeah, now starting with a pregnant woman, I would advise a pregnant woman to do a plant-based but not a vegan or vegetarian diet. Yeah, so plant-based means that they have plants, they also have some animal products there. Yeah, that would be good. If they are gonna do a vegan diet, it's gonna be tricky because of these nutrients you have discussed about, and especially because the fetus is also developing and the fetus needs these nutrients. They need the folic acid. Folic acid, most of the nutrients in animal foods are more bioavailable to the body. They're easily absorbed into the body. So for pregnant women, it's really crucial that they actually follow a plant-based but not a strict vegan or vegetarian diet. Yeah.
Then there is, okay, let's go back before, during the pregnancy and after the pregnancy, because someone would be like, if I conceive, then I'll stop this kind of diet, or maybe after I've given birth I can continue with my vegan diet. Yeah, so okay, sometimes people may be looking at things like I should lose weight before getting pregnant, and in such cases you will find that they may do a vegetarian diet, but still they have to mind about things like folic acid. There are some nutrients like iron, such that by the time they conceive, they are not having abnormalities. Like we've seen mothers who conceive and then the child has spina bifida. Later they realize that because of a nutrient they missed before conceiving. So even the time before conceiving, whichever diet you're following, it's very important that there are these crucial nutrients you have to follow. And even after they have given birth, while they're breastfeeding, still they need to follow a balanced diet. And the vegan diet, if not done well, in most cases they're not going to get all the nutrients they want. So it has to be, if they're deciding to do a vegan diet, it has to be well planned, whereby these other nutrients like the B12, the calcium, the iron are catered for. Yeah. If someone doesn't have money, I wouldn't advise them to do a strict vegan diet, because it's gonna even make them pay for things that they wouldn't have paid for. Really? If you're doing a strict vegan diet and then you have micronutrient deficiencies, you're going to have to go to hospital and then cater for those deficiencies. So if you really can't afford like the fortified foods and the supplements, then why do you do a vegan diet, a strict vegan diet? So you go back to the plant-based one. Okay, we want also to know or understand the different environmental, or I would call them the ethical considerations that are associated with us choosing a particular diet.
Yeah, so the plant-based diets, the vegetarian diets and the vegan diets, these usually have less animal products, and that protects the environment in such a way that these plant foods, during the time when the time when the plants are growing, when you compare that to the period when these animals are being raised, you'll find that the environmental impact is more negative on the animal side. Usually, the way these animals, the way the animals are in the farms, usually they are emitting greenhouse gases. They are contributing to, in the long run, to global warming. Unlike plants, so that's an environmental impact. And yeah, so basically, plants have a less, growing plants has a less environmental impact compared to having animals. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know we are emphasizing these things, but in our setting, I'll look out for Uganda as a country. There is what we should say, like food security. And do you think if someone wakes up and they decide that I want to do vegan or I want to do this kind of diet, are we secured, like food wise? Can we access all those kinds of things that we want in a particular diet?
Yeah, in the large, when you look at from a bigger context, when if people are only consuming plant foods compared to when people are consuming animal foods, so it depends actually on the regions. Like for example, there are some regions that grow more plants and other regions are having more animals. So you may find that regions that are where they are only growing plants, the food security in there is not the same as these people who are having animals, because the ones who are having animals, you may find in those areas plants are expensive, and in this area where they're only having animals as the major economic activity, that side plants are expensive. But with the help of the government and better planning, the ministries can plan better and make sure that the food security is at the optimum level, such that different regions can grow different foods, such that the supply is good to cover the entire population.
Thank you so much. Also, there is something that you talked about, and that was like we can do a plant-based diet, but still we have to do it the right way. And you talked about the hygiene, and I think many times we concentrate on the kinds of meats, like you have to take care of it, make sure you've put it in a clean place, make sure you've done this and that. But for the plants, I feel like for some reason we just at the end of the day. So talk about the food safety and how does it impact our nutrition?
Yeah, so it's very important that these plants, because when you look at also the way plants are grown, they have pesticides, and these pesticides, especially now where agriculture has become so commercialized, people are spraying this from the very time the seed is in the ground to the last minute when it's out of the soil. But it's very important that when you get these fruits, even the vegetables, you clean them thoroughly. The people who do raw tomatoes, but they just clean lightly and then eat. But it's,
what do you mean clean lightly?
Just pouring water, and then when you see the water on the fruit, you think it's now clean. But you have to put in some effort, because these tomatoes and many other foods, they're being sprayed so much to prevent the diseases. Yeah. So the other thing is even the animal foods. The animal foods are also, there are problems with them nowadays. People are injecting chicken with some drugs to make them fatten fast. So it's very important that either way, when you're taking plants, make sure it's thoroughly cleaned. You're taking animals, make sure it's from a good source. Yeah.
So usually, if people are doing fruits, I keep wondering and asking myself, Are we supposed to just use running water that is not boiled, or we need to use boiled water? Because I just imagine I have to eat a mango, and how am I supposed to clean it?
Yeah, so it's, if you can afford boiled water, that's very fine. But
You can't.
But honestly speaking, not very many people can use boiled water to clean their fruits on a daily basis. Yeah, and when you look at it's even just brushing teeth. Some people are not able to brush their teeth with boiled water on a daily basis. Yeah, but if you can, the best way is to use boiled water, and to add to use some effort when you're cleaning these fruits, because now what you're looking at is you want to remove the pesticide, you want to remove the worms. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think our time is running so fast, and we would want to get to the bottom line of the plant-based kind of diet. And I believe that if you're out there and you've been wondering which kind of diet, I think for a long time we've been emphasizing a balanced diet, but today we've learned that you can go ahead and break it down to maybe a plant-based diet. You can choose to be vegan. Me personally, I can't do that. You can choose to be a vegetarian, or whatever it is that you choose. Maybe sometime we shall come back and talk about the animal-based kind of diets, but you know, someone will tell you those ones are expensive. I rather, you know, stick to this. But in whatever kind of diet that you choose, I pray that you seek an expert's advice and make sure that you're on the right track. They can emphasize the meal planning for you and teach you how best you can do it for yourself and also for your family. So as we come to conclusion, I would want you to just give us your concluding remarks on these kinds of diets, and to people that are having chronic diseases that are ongoing, how can they be helped?
Yeah, so my take, what I would like people to take from this show tonight is that there is no such diet that is going to give you everything you want, but if you plan well, you're going to be able to meet all your nutrient needs. Yeah, so even if you're doing a plant-based diet, it's very important to watch out which foods you're taking. How are they? Are they ultra processed? Are they whole grains? Are they refined? Yeah. And whether you're doing a vegetarian diet, it's still very important to look at, to make sure that you're having all the nutrients you need for your body. And if you've decided to do a vegan diet, which is actually very strict, it's very important that you don't miss out on certain nutrients like B12, like iron, calcium, zinc, and and others. But in general, a plant-based diet, if you follow it very well and it's well planned, you're going to be able to prevent certain illnesses, you're going to be able to prevent the non-communicable diseases, the heart disease, the hypertension, the obesity. You're going to be able to have a good intake of fiber and antioxidants. Yeah, so in the long run, a well-planned plant-based diet, in consideration with other factors, will be beneficial for your health.
Thank you so much. I think we've learned, or I'm also learning, that just making a conscious kind of effort for you to eat less processed foods and eat maybe more plant-based kinds of foods, it will do wonders for your health. And we're emphasizing to reduce on the medicine intake, but the medicine that we should only take, it should be the food. So that's why you need to know which kind of food, how I'm supposed to eat it, and everything that is around that. So back to you, Eddie. I believe there are people out there that have been watching and have been expectant, so send them greetings.
Yeah, I want to send greetings to everyone that is watching tonight, all my workmates, my colleagues, my clients. Yeah, a very big thank you. And I hope that you've picked something from this show tonight. It's always amazing to share this kind of information. It's not in so many places. Yeah, and I'm also grateful to Bethany TV for having this initiative where we educate the public on what they can do right and how they can do it, how they can achieve it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And him thanking Bethan TV, someone sent me a message from Chegwegwa. She's called Juliet from Chegwegwa district, and then she was like, when we watch Bethan TV and we appreciate, we keep learning, and our lives are changing. So thank you so much. I want to wish you the best of the night and the best of the week. Bye.